Hello to everyone listening. Now, just to briefly introduce myself, I'm Athan. You might recognize my name if you've been following the LinkedIn campaign for this webinar. I'm the digital media specialist here at Gurus. Now today, we'll be looking at best practices for Saved Searches in NetSuite and how to optimize your reporting processes. To give you a brief context of what's coming up, Jean-Manuel, who is a resident Saved Searches expert and one of our senior consultants here at Gurus, will be taking you through everything from Saved Search overview to addressing issues as well as tips and tricks, Saved Search exports and tools, followed by a demo presentation, a look at how Gurus can help you, and finally, stick around till the end for a Q&A with Jean-Manuel and Jonathan. But before we proceed, let me tell you a little bit about Gurus Solutions as a company. Gurus is recognized as one of the largest NetSuite service providers in all of North America. We've been helping businesses achieve mass growth with NetSuite for 13 years with over 2,100 successful projects to our name. As a 7-year consecutive 5-star partner, we have 80 in-house consultants specializing in everything from implementations to customizations, integrations, and support. Even more, we hold close relationships, knowledge, and experience across the entire Oracle NetSuite ecosystem. Now, without further ado, the part that you guys have all been waiting for, let me introduce you to Jean-Manuel Fizet.
Hello everyone, welcome to our webinar on Saved Searches. I'm super excited to show you all the things you can achieve with this tool. But first, a little background. I've been at Gurus for over 3 years now, and as a consultant for 6 years. I worked previously in many industries, such as aerospace, automotive, mines. I even have a master's degree in medical engineering, focusing on computational fluid dynamics. All this experience gave me great foundations, and a good comprehension of many industries, and really helped me developing my consulting skills. This webinar reflects my experience with clients through the years. So I'll present you 4 typical issues I faced during those implementations, and you'll discover how easy it was to address those issues. But first, some definitions. It's a silly question, but what's a Saved Search? So let's just begin on why we are talking about that feature. So like I said previously, I've been a consultant for many years, and I can say that one common issue is the user's anxiety of not being able to see what's going on in their own company. Think of SpaceX trying to land a rocket. How is it possible to land something if you don't know the speed and the altitude? So fortunately, we're not doing rocket science, but we do have the problem of not having accurate visibility on our own data and having multiple systems not talking to each other. So how many of you have tried to build spreadsheets to merge data, right? So NetSuite's a great tool for helping you landing your finance data in a central point of information. And the best feature to manipulate the data is definitely a Saved Search. It's super easy to set up and can be used for multiple purposes. So let me just summarize that into 4 main points. Okay. So first of all, it can be used as an amazing monitoring dashboard. So the sales progress can be tracked in real time, for instance, so you don't have to wait until next morning to see an update. So every morning you open NetSuite and you know right away what's going on, and because you have real data in front of you. Second point, if you need and want to set up priorities, Saved Searches is your tool. So having global view on your business, for example, will definitely help you to know what you should send to production next. Another example is if you add a few filters on your Saved Search, you'll be able to combine a few orders. Or if you want to, you can also set up a few alerts and see which customer is not paying you on time. Third point is it's flexible. You'll see that it's super easy to change criteria and add filters. You can even add the highlighting rules to manipulate data and really see the important stuff. And you'll have a better understanding of what I'm talking about in the following slides. The last point is it's user-friendly. It's not hard to learn how to use a Saved Search. It's not hard to learn how to build a Saved Search, and it's something you can learn within a few hours, which is great, right? So it's nice to have the big picture, but let's just have a look at the real stuff. So I thought it would be nice to show you 4 real cases. They are very simple ones, but it will help you understand the power of a safe search. Let's address your issues. I'll start by addressing a common one in procurement with a little story. I'm sure it happens to you all the time, but imagine you go to the grocery store not being sure of what's left at home. In my case, every time I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just take a bunch of bananas, but the thing is I come back home and realize I already have a few left and I have to bake another banana bread. Speaking of bread, that's also something I often forget. So I started creating a shopping list, but I don't really update it, so it's not a big deal. I'll find a way someday. But in industry, not knowing what to buy, what's left in stock is not a good situation. And I'm sorry, but cycle counts are not fun. So that's the kind of thing that will definitely keep me awake at night. Fortunately, we have NetSuite and Safe Searches. So what I did is I created actually a report, and that report is showing me the sales per item per month. Procurement managers, here's the report I'm talking about. In here I can see that I'm in trouble. If I look at the report, I'm like, uh-oh, 3 items in red, 2 in yellow. I'm out of stock, and so I have to do something. So what's nice is I can have a better idea of the sales trend in this report, so I can see per month that sales trend. So when I was talking about highlighting rules, this is a very good example. And I can even add symbols next to those lines if I want to color code in a way the report. Sales managers, let's now address a common problem for you. So let's go back to my grocery store scenario. Imagine you go there to buy ice cream. You forgot the bread. You cannot make those French toasts that you promised to the kids, and they are super mad. So you go there, you buy vanilla ice cream. You come back and you realize that the kids are still mad. They wanted to have chocolate ice cream. And you hear those magical words that you should have known. Well, now just imagine that you're in the industry, you're dealing with a lot of customers. And you're getting a few orders for the Jacksonville Jaguar shirts. But at the last minute, it's finally New England Patriots that is wanted, and you already started production. Well, you should have known, and maybe it could have been avoided just with a phone call. So as a sales manager, it wouldn't keep you awake at night, not be confident about what's coming. So let's just take a look at 2 safe searches that I've created to avoid those kind of situations. The first one is called a reminder. That's a type of safe search that you can find in NetSuite. This one tells me how many potential or current clients have not been engaged for a while. Every day when I open the computer and I connect to NetSuite, this reminder will show me how many customers I need to engage because they haven't been contacted for a while. We don't see it here because it's part of the configuration of the search, but the for a while can be decided. So it can be for over a week, over a month. You have total control over that. The next slide is showing me a deeper look of my list of customers that I need to contact in order of priority. So at the top, I have a filter to find quickly a specific customer with his phone number. If I need to, and at the left I have those little symbols that is showing me the 2 of them don't have a contact, so I can add the missing information if I can find it. Financial controller, I also have something for you. Here's a little story. For those who have kids in college, you try to help them as much as possible by maybe providing them with a credit card. You also try to teach them that a pumpkin spice latte at $10 every day is a bit expensive. So you sit with them and show a beautiful spreadsheet to manage their budget and all those restaurant receipts. Easy, right? But for a multi-million business, it's another story. As a finance controller, how many hours do you have to spend on spreadsheets every month and to close your books? So let's look at my credit card search to help you out with this. Okay, let's take a look at this report. So as you can see, again, I have a highlighting rule and it's showing me, a few things. So at the left, I have a dollar sign, I have even an exclamation mark. So real quick, in a few clicks, I can see that Julian and Sahar are enjoying life way too much. So I just hope that you start seeing, the power of Safe Search here, because by having all the information in the same place, all I have to do is open it, and right away I can take business decisions. Okay, so let's cover my last story, and this one is for CFOs. So it's a difficult position, and they have important decisions to take. So if we wanted to describe their life, what would it be? A. Nights at the office. B. Probably over 70, 80 hours per week. Maybe more, I don't know. C. Too many coffees with a racing heart. So I don't have the D option, but obviously it's probably all. So your decisions are critical. Let's not add hours in Excel for creating reports. Let's make sure that every minute you spend at work is efficient. So I have created actually another report, and I'm about to show it to you. This is a Safe Search I have created to show the big picture of the revenue per division in a company. I can see here the money in and out, and get the totals for debit and credit amounts. So there's no more like, I'll take 2 days per month to create such a report. It's available with one click and updated live, finally. So what I've shown you are just examples, but of course you can create your own Safe Searches and create as many as you want. It's not always easy to find simplicity and power combined, but you have it here with this feature. Current NetSuite users, this section is for you. So I prepared 5 tips and tricks and that I'm sure you'll find very interesting. The first one is mainline. So when you're reviewing a record, let's say an invoice, you have at the top the main section, and at the bottom you can find what we call line items. So on a Safe Search view, you can define what you're looking at. So if you want to see only the first part, so the main section, the main line criteria, you have to set it to true. But if you're interested in looking only on your line items of the invoice, then you just set it to false. And if you want to show both, then that's not a problem. You have this flexibility. And what will happen is on your Safe Search view, you will have a little star. You can take a look at the print screen, and that's what you have. So the star will tell you that this specific result is from the main section and the rest is from your line items. So depending on the nature of the search, please do not forget to think about that. Please use it. You will see also that you have the same concept for tax lines and shipping lines. So if you are working on a sales order, some results in your Safe Search might be related to taxes or shipping fees, for example. So keep that in mind. Okay, number 2 in tips and tricks. It's possible you might not be able to find a field in your list. So in your criterias or in your results, the list can be long, especially if you have created a lot of custom fields. It's not always easy. So if you cannot find what you're looking for, you can always use formulas to call a field by his ID. So those IDs can be found in also the schema browser. So if you take a look, you have the URL over there that you can use to take a look at that. I really recommend that you bookmark this URL since it's kind of your Wikipedia for field IDs. So if you take a look at the print screen at the right, all you have to do is in your list, instead of selecting a field, you select formula text, for instance, and in your formula, in brackets, you will put the field ID, and that will return what you are looking for. Number 3, SQL formulas are your Swiss Army knife, I'm telling you. Sometimes, due to the nature of a field, when it's added as a filter, you might end up with a list. So you have to select something from that list. But if you prefer to type what you are looking at, it might be a bit easier for you. It's possible to kind of convert that list into a free-form text. If you want to do that, then you leverage SQL formulas. So a little bit like in tip number 2, what you have to do is you define formula text in your criteria and you call the field by his ID. And then if you take a look at a print screen at the right in available filters, so your filter will be your formula text, and that's it. So when you do that, and we can take a look on the next slide, you will see that you are now having a text box where you can type, for example, the name of the customer. And you can even use the percentage as a wildcard if you don't have the full name. Number 4. So in your formula, there is one hidden function that is called NSConcat. And I really love hidden things because it means that it's crazy powerful. So in my example, you will find that in the first print screen, all the columns except one are repeating the same result. So you always have the same date, the same document number, the same sales rep name, it's just the items that are changing. So if you want to improve and combine, improve the layout per se, you can use the formula I just placed on next to the second screenshot. So with NSConcat and with the field ID, I'm able to combine everything on the same line. So you see, for one date, one document number, and one sales rep, I can see all the related items to that specific result, which is really better in terms of visualization. So I really encourage you to try that since it's very powerful, like I said. Final tip number 5, and I mentioned it many times, highlighting rules is very, very useful. So use them to see what's critical. On a search, what you have to do is you just go straight to the subtab that is called highlighting. And over there, you click on the little icon to have actually a new window. And from there, you will be able to define your filter and your criteria. So in this specific example, remember, I wanted to add a little arrow next to the leads, prospects, or customers that don't have a phone number. So my criteria is, so for phone, if it's empty, then you will show a red arrow. So it's very simple. Again, I really encourage you to try that too. And I hear you. You're going to tell me, but what about this time? I absolutely need the data outside NetSuite. I absolutely need to do this in Excel. Then that's fine. A safe search can also be a foundation for exporting the data. So you do as usual. You define criteria, you define what you need to pull out of the system, and all you have to do is click on this little logo to export in CSV format. So if you look at the right on the picture, you'll see actually the logo I'm talking about. And what you see is what you get. So at the left, you see it's a good example. So the safe search was created in NetSuite, and that's the result I got in my CSV format. So you want to see something nice? Here's a good example also of what you can do with a safe search. So I just talked about how to export in CSV format, but it's also possible to send emails via safe searches. So this is a previous request I got from a client, and they were asking a specific format to be sent to their customers. So each time there was an order fulfillment, here's actually the email that was sent to the customers. So it's pretty cool, huh? So as you can see, all you have to do, you define your safe search, and within that safe search, you can even input HTML to have control over your format. At Gurus, we even created an additional tool to help you out with your exports. And the tool in question lets you bulk export the data from NetSuite without the need to open the system. So the way it works is you define the safe searches you want to extract within the Google Sheet add-on, and you click export. So you have a lot of benefits from that. So first of all, it makes it easy to make pivot tables by sourcing multiple safe searches. So there's only one level of drill down in NetSuite, And so if you create multiple Saved Searches and you want to merge all this data all together, that's the perfect tool that you can use for that. It's perfect for periodical analysis without having to manually export the saved searches over and over again. It's perfect to share some reporting with users that do not have a NetSuite access. So if you're limited in budget, in your budget, and you don't want to buy additional licenses just to exporting data, well, you can use that. So it's going to save you a lot of money. Also, another thing, it allows to leverage all the Google Sheet formulas to analyze your data. So at Gurus, we use a lot of Google tools, including Google Sheets, and it's great. I'm telling you, it's very powerful. It's in the cloud, so that's another thing you have to consider. And finally, the data can be used in tools like Google Data Studio, also for visualization. So that's another great thing from Google, very powerful, and definitely something that you should take a look at. All right, so now it's time for the demo. So let's take a look at what we have in NetSuite. So when I open it, the first thing I see is my dashboard. So within the dashboard, I have multiple portlets, and most of those portlets are based on saved searches. So let's take a look at the first one we have at the top left, the reminders. So within the reminders, I have the headline, and I have a few other saved searches that is showing me something that I have to do. So the first thing, if I open this one, leads, prospect, and customers, you will recognize the results. So that's something we saw in the previous slides. And in here, I have a list of customers that I need to re-engage. I even have 2 of them that do not have the phone number. So I can edit them and add the phone number if I have it on hand. So I also talked about filters. So that's something I already added. If you need to add additional filters, that's really not a problem. But in my example here, let's say I have one specific customer in mind. So I'll just type ABC, okay? And by clicking on the blank space, I have access immediately to what I'm looking for. Let's go back to our home page. So we saw the first one. So let's say I want to color code what is happening in my reminders. So I want to see that after reaching a certain threshold, I want this to become yellow or red. So it's totally possible in a few clicks. So if I click here on this small icon, I can add highlighting rules. So let's say I just put and say, okay, so over 10, greater than 10, it will become red. So I'll just save, and you see immediately I can see the color that is added next to the reminder. So it's very easy to set up, very user-friendly, like I mentioned before, and it's gonna help you with your day-to-day work. So I talked earlier about live data. So I'm just gonna show you what we're talking about. So I'll open the opportunities to close, and I will close one. Okay, so right now I have a lot, obviously 255, and so I need to tackle my list and update it. So I'll just take the first one. Okay, so the first result from my saved search, and I will edit the first line here. So in this opportunity, so I can see this, the quote was issued. I can take a look at all the data I have in here, and so I can define that actually now it's close one. And I will just save the opportunity. If I go back on my home page, I'll just wait for this to save. And once it's saved, I can refresh the reminder, and I will see that now the opportunities to close are at 254. So in terms of live data, each day when you open NetSuite, that's what you're gonna see. You won't have to wait for some kind of script running overnight to update all the data. It's done immediately. Another important portlet I want to show you all is the KPI. So the KPI, again, I can set up a headline here, no problem. But I also have all my indicators at the bottom. So as you can see, I can even, depending on the setup, I can compare certain periods. So if I take a look at the last one here and I click on the little arrow, I will be able to take a look at the progress of the results of the Safe Search. So here's the total bank balance, and obviously it's not going well. But in your case, I hope it's going to be better. But if we go back here on the home page, that's something, again, is very easy to set up. And so I have a high level here. And remember, I mentioned it's a very, very good and powerful monitoring tool. And I can see it here that I have access to this data every day. If I click on the period, now I can have a drill down and have more info of what's going on. And I can take a look at my sales trend, so per month. So that's also something we saw in previous slides. I can add filters at the top if it's needed again, and highlighting rules as usual. Another interesting portlet is the KPI meter. So that's another way of showing the data. But this time, maybe I need to compare my current status with a certain threshold. So if I take a look at the same Safe Search, the sales by item per month for procurement, I can see here that I'm at 4.3 million out of 7, so which is close, right? So if you're very visual, that's another way you can take a look at your data. For CEOs, if you have many indicators that you need to take a look at, it's really not a problem. You can also, add all those indicators in a certain list. So that's another type of portlet. And you can take a look at your sales, the number of invoices, today, this week, this month. So you can define your own periods. It's really not a problem. And so you have a very good overview of the company, how things are going. If I continue to scroll down, I also have another example. Here is my top 5 items by quantity sold. So I can take a look and see my top 5 items that are selling the most and which one is performing the best. So that's another type of portlet that's very easy, very quick to set up if it's something you need to take a look at. All right, so one last thing I want to show you is how to export NetSuite. So if I go back in here and I take a look at my reminders, let's just open the first one, webinar leads, prospecting customers. Okay, and from here you will see at the top left some icons that you can use for exporting. So if you want to use the CSV format, that's the first one you have at the left. But most likely you will use the Microsoft Excel format. And all you have to do is click on the icon to download the file. So the rule is what you see is what you get. So if I open this file, you will see the exact same thing as shown currently on the screen. So let's just open it right here, and you can see that I have the same information, and I can now proceed with my reports in my spreadsheet.
Now, let's look at what Gurus can offer you. Firstly, Gurus live and breathe NetSuite, and that's the level of knowledge and dedication that we bring to the table. Most often, what really helps our partners thrive for collaborating with us is our partnership approach. We are always open to hearing your needs before talking about a potential project. Our team leverages 11 years of proven process so that our expertise is always reflected in the work that we deliver. Then we have a flexible mode of engagement, collaborative and workshop methodology, as well as ongoing account management and continued support following a project. Now, thank you for attending our webinar on Safe Searches. I hope you enjoyed John Mendes' presentation. And remember, at Gurus, we scale up your business with cloud solutions.